here with you today. I'm going to go ahead and move us right along. I do want to honor your time today. So you have chosen to come to Thriving versus Surviving, Keys to Work-Life Balance, something I think a little bit of everyone can relate to. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. I am your presenter today. My name is Professor Coy Chow. I am an adjunct professor here at Prince George's Community College. I'm also a certified Gallup's coach and a certified yoga instructor with Vinyasa Studios. So we're going to dig in a little bit today. Normally I'm giving a yoga session. I do have Dr. Ashante. Did you want to say anything? Did you want to say hello?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Coy, on behalf of the Education Department and the Professional Studies and Community Education Division for being here and sharing this wonderful knowledge with us. Coy is amazing, so you all will have a wonderful time, and we encourage you to stick around for the next presentation on this very link. So thank you, Coy, take it away.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to, before we get going, I'm going to go ahead and take the waiting room off so people can just come in and we can get moving. So I do have a few little gentle norms for us. Just make sure that you mute your mic to help us with background noise. We are recording this session, so it is totally fine if you want to disable your camera. If you would like to come on camera, I would love to see your face, but no pressure, okay? We will work with what we have today. Be fully present. That's one of the norms that I do need to say because this session does involve some active discussion and engagement. So I'm going to go ahead and get us right into it. So I would like to know from you, and if you can't, if you are driving, because I know some people join from their phone and that's totally fine. If you can unmute and share out if you would like. But I'd like to know, why are you here? Because this is all about work-life balance. So when it comes to work-life balance, where exactly is your imbalance? If you would like to share, drop it in the chat. You could drop it like it's hot in the chat. I'm going to give you some time here to put that in, and I'll see what's coming in. Where is your imbalance? Where is your imbalance in work-life balance? And if you would like to we have a kind of a small group right now. People may come in. If you want to unmute and talk about your imbalance, you can do that. Do we have any takers? Or are we typing?
Hi, I'll take
Oh,
right
thank
now.
you.
I think my main thing is like I work 7 to 5, 7 to 4:30, and then I'm gonna graduate in May, but it's like I try to do my homework at work sometimes, and then because there's no free time for me in the evening, so that's why I'm here. Maybe you could help.
Okay, okay. You might not want to be my friend after this, Jim, but we'll see
That's
what
okay. That's right. I'm open to all.
Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Where is your imbalance? So Jen said it's not enough time for her, so that self-care piece and just everything spilling over. Anyone else? Learning to say no. Okay, I see them coming in. Thank you, Miss Mann. Says separating work from personal time. I'm constantly thinking about tasks I need to do while I'm at home. Okay, learning to say no is important, right? The title says it all. That's why I'm here. My imbalance is self-care. Okay, I got you. I got you. I understand. Okay, so here's the thing. The thing about whenever you go to a workshop is sometimes there could just be too many objectives, right? So I want to focus on one thing today because that's a part of why we struggle with work-life balance, because we're focusing on multiple things at one time. And it just can become so overwhelming. So we're just going to think about this little small baby step today. And the overall session is just really for us to bring awareness, to explore what some best practices are when it comes to work-life balance. So just to be in the mindset and thinking about what maybe can I do differently to help me get control of the balance that I have, the imbalance that I have going on, okay? So I think I mentioned to you earlier that I'm a certified Gallup's coach. And one of the things with Gallup that we focus on is 5 essential well-being elements, right? So you see these 5 elements right here. The first one is career well-being, and it has to do with, how are you thriving in your workplace? What is your career like? Does it put life into you, or does it suck the life right out of you? Because that's important. And the reason why I say that is because we spend about 80% of our time at work if we're workers. So if you're in a position or in a career that is not fulfilling to you, that's 80% of your time. That's a lot of time to be in an unfulfilling space. So that's something that I want you to think about as we move forward, just to think about. Social well-being is important because we need the social outlet. And when I say social outlet, I'm not talking about social media. It can be a part of that, but I mean, just really the social aspect of connecting with other people and individuals. You can do that online, but there's nothing better than seeing someone going out with friends and just really spending time with people within your community or your network that kind of keeps you uplifted and encouraged to help you get through life's challenges. So that social well-being. Then you have element 3, financial well-being. Now, I think everybody knows that if your money is tight, then things won't be right, right? And so it can just become an overwhelming experience. So the financial well-being element helps us to think about how important our finances are and where we are putting energy into that, what needs to go, what needs to stay, and are we being diligent about managing on our finances, or enough to relieve pressure from us for it being a stressor, right? Physical well-being is you thinking about you and taking care of your body, your health. Are you exercising? Are you eating right? And it's not just exercising, eating right, but it's, are you sleeping well? How well are you sleeping? How are your sleeping habits, right? Community well-being, when we think about community well-being, it could be, how are you building community within your neighborhood? You might have community with your church or a religious organization that you're a part of. You might be a part of a fraternity or a sorority, or you may even have a social network group online. That's totally fine. But all of these elements are important. So I want to ask you a question really quickly in the chat, because one of the things that I want you to know is that even though people can really thrive in one or more of these areas, very seldom do people thrive in all of these areas at the same time. It's virtually impossible unless you are Wonder Woman or Superman. So let me ask you to think about where you think you are thriving. Where is your thriving element? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? So 1, your career is thriving. Maybe your career is booming, right? 2, I got my social life together. Maybe I'm not getting to work on time, but I'm partying on Tuesday. Where are you there? Financial well-being, how is that for you? Okay, maybe you're investing, or maybe you're doing better than you did last month. Thriving could look like that for you. Physical well-being, are you feeling well? Are you taking good care of yourself? Do you feel healthy? Community well-being. So let me look in the chat to see what we put here, to see your numbers. And you could just drop your, okay, I see you, Shanine. Thank you, said 3 and 4. Okay, so Shanine says she's doing okay, financial well-being and physical well-being. And here's the thing, if we are not thriving sometimes in two of these areas, I would say, if you're not thriving in career well-being and financial well-being, then guess what can really, really happen to your physical well-being? It can suffer, because those stressors become heavy and we take those on and we take them in, and it becomes a part of our, it's just hard, right? So, okay, Jen said she's has the 1 down. Okay, 4 and 5, Victor. I think, Victor, you would be doing well in career since you just recently retired. I'm jealous, but I'm not gonna bring that up. Okay, 4 and 5, 2 and 3. Okay, thank you. So let me ask you, if you said you were thriving in one area, what makes you feel like you're thriving in that area? And you can come off mute, or you can drop it in the chat. What makes you feel like you are thriving? Any takers? Okay, you where you want to be. All right. And and that's important. Thank you. I've hit my goals. That is important. I would say, you know, if you asked me a couple of years ago where I was thriving, I could definitely tell you I was thriving in element one, and that my career was in a very good place, right? Um, I was not thriving socially because, you know, of course, with the pandemic and everything. But even before the pandemic, I wasn't not really thriving in the area of social well-being because I'm just was not really spending a lot of time outside of work and that kind of thing, right? Okay, I've been with a trainer since okay, since January. All right, so your physical well-being is doing well, Victor. That's what you're saying? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And when you feel good, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I would be the one to tell you that now I feel like I'm thriving more in physical well-being and in the first one, career well-being, right? But community, not so much. Social, not so much, but better than what it was, right? So now here's the kicker. If you see this little guy right here, I want you to think about where you are surviving, because more often than not, we could be thriving in one area and just really surviving in another, whereas we're just getting by, we're making it. You know, if I ask you how you're doing, you say, oh, I'm doing okay. I'm doing well. Or you say, I'm surviving. That has a different connotation to it when you say, I'm surviving. You know, I'm doing my best. It's not the best situation, right? So there is an inclination that when we are surviving in an area, we literally need to be rescued in some way. Okay, so there's something missing there, and there is an indication of an imbalance. But I do want you to think about now, where are you surviving? Like you're alive, you're making it, right? But it's not is the ideal situation. Okay. So let me see what you have there. And you could drop the number into 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And it's okay to feel like you are not that you're surviving in one or more area. Because remember, the average person is not going to thrive in all of these at one time. Okay, 2. Okay. And I don't know about you, but I've been thinking more and more about retirement the older I get. So I'm okay in element 3, but I'm not exactly ready for retirement or thinking that I'm gonna, do that anytime soon. So 1 and 5, okay, community well-being. All right. Okay. So thank you for sharing that. I do want to share a video with you. This is Simon Sinek, and he says something very interesting about work-life balance and it being really the wrong type of analogy in the language that we use. And I'd like to turn your attention to him so you can see what he has to say.
I'm actually quite good about taking time for myself where I disconnect from everything. I'm a great believer, when people take vacation, but they're online the whole time, that's not a vacation, that's telecommuting from a beach, right? And so one could argue that in our modern day and age, we actually take 0 vacation and we have 0 evenings and 0 weekends. And I think that's incredibly unhealthy. And so as a company and as an individual, we're pretty good. Like if I get emails on a weekend, if I look at them, which I don't always, I will not reply until Monday because it's the weekend. There's always exceptions. And when I go on vacation, I tell my team I'm on vacation. If there's an emergency, deal with it, right? Because I'm on vacation. And quite frankly, anybody who goes to a retreat or an offsite or takes a day off and checks in on a regular basis, nothing says I don't trust my team more than feeling the need to check in every hour. You're literally telling people, you can't do this without me. I have to be on every email, So I'm really good when I decide to disconnect, to completely disconnect from work. And I I understand that ideas, I recognize that, you know, we talk about work-life balance, you know, work and life are not opposing forces. It's balance is the wrong analogy. You know, I'm the same person at home as I am at work. It's just different clothes and a different table I sit at, right? And so what I try and do is recognize that it's all my life, and there's no difference in where I am and what I'm doing. And so what I'm trying to do is live a balanced life in general, and I work to ensure that creative things are very much a part of it. That can be making things, but that can also be going to see things. I think it's very important for people to take time off to look at art, see theater, you know, do whatever your thing is. I think you need to engage with something that challenges your brain in a way that it doesn't challenge you every single day, so that you see the world differently. I have many, many ideas sitting in places they don't expect to have ideas. I'm actually.
Okay, so there's that, right, where some of us may have been guilty. I don't know about you, but I have been guilty of going on the little vacation and not unplugging at all, not really being on vacation, not being fully present. And I remember doing that one day, and my daughter said, "Mommy, I thought we were supposed to be on vacation, having a good time." And I had to really check myself. You know, those pesky kids, they sometimes will, you know, get you to really thinking about life. So I really had to think about that, right? And so when we talk about where our imbalance is, I want you to think about where you need to put the most, where do you need to put in the most work? Um, Keep in mind that those 5 elements, you're not going to hit all of them all at one time, right? But right now, when you think about those 5 elements, when you think about where you are challenged, which one do you feel like you need to put more work in because it's important to you thriving more, right? And so what I'm going to do is I want you to look up here on the screen if you are able. Um, and I'm going to allow you to choose a room to go into. I'm going to open up 5 rooms. Each room is going to have an element, right? And in each room, I want you to think about these things. So if you go into the career room, if you feel like you need to put more work in that area, I want you to think about, do you like what you do every day, right? There's that piece of us spending 80% of our time at the workplace. So if it is an unfulfilling space, that's a problem, right? Because it can impact you. It impacts and spills over into other areas like your physical well-being. And we know stress is one of the #1 killers in America and beyond, right? It's not, I'm going to get hit by a car, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing, a lot of times it's stress. It will take you out of here. And so that's something that we have to think about and talk about. Social, do you play as often as you work? And when, you know, you ever hear that term, work hard, play hard? There's beauty in that because we need the playtime. Okay. There's a reason why children go to recess when they're in elementary school. And I don't know if we think about this, but as children get older and they move towards middle school, that recess is kind of taken away. They might get it in creative arts, they go to art, they go to, you know, physical education, and they might be able to do other things extracurricularly. But we notice also a light dim a little bit when that play is no longer in play, right? And so we're no different. We need the playtime, okay? Physical, are you taking care of yourself? And if you know you're not, say you're not, right? Okay. It's okay, but understand where you are and thinking about what you can do to change that. Community, do you know what's happening in your community? And remember, community could be in your neighborhood, it could be a community that you are connected to. Financial, does your dollar make you want to holler? I mean, it's just that simple, right? So I'm going to give you only 3 minutes to go into your room. If you are driving and you're unable to click to move, just unmute for me or put it in the chat and I'll tell you, I will move you. And you'll be in there for about 3 minutes. So these are your questions that you're going to take a look at. And I will project this into your breakout room so you can see it. So I'm going to open the rooms now. You should see it now, and you should be able to choose your room. And if you're not sure how to do that, just hover over to the right and you should be able to join. So if you would like for me to move you, just go ahead and put the number in the chat for me and I'll move you into the room. Okay, and I see some people are going. Okay, Victor, you want to go to 3?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, community. Marietta, where would you like to go?
I'm sorry, I'm driving.
That's okay, no problem. What
Yeah,
room would you
I
like to?
can, it doesn't matter.
Okay. I'm gonna put you in career, okay? Tawana, what room would you like to be in? Hey, Cece.
Hi.
How are you? I'm gonna move you to physical room.
And I just don't feel like I guess I just really need a change.
Mm. And I'm glad, thank you so much for being so candid and vulnerable with us. Because again, and I keep saying this because it's really important that we realize that our careers are a huge part of what we do in our experiences that we, move through on a daily basis, right? And so when that is out of alignment or we feel like there's an imbalance there, it can essentially begin to challenge those other elements. So it can begin to challenge, of course, financial element. It can begin to challenge what's really important is that physical element, and it can also begin to challenge our social element. And so that's something that we have to think about is that, what are we doing? Are we in a fulfilling space? Do we have the opportunity to move into a more fulfilling space if we are not, right? And so thank you again for sharing that. I want to go to the social element here, where I asked you, do you play as often as you work? Remember, when children don't have that play, it's a problem, and we wonder sometimes why children we think they're anxious. It might not be that they're anxious. It might be that they need to play. They need the play time. So does anyone play as hard as they work, or are you needing to play? Let's hear it. What do you think?
Well,
I see your head nod.
before the pandemic, I tried to play as hard as I worked.
Okay, and what happened? What do you think happened?
The pandemic. It shut down everything. Like
It shut you down?
it shut down everything. Yes, because I would try to travel, and it wasn't so much travel, just fun things around you know, going to different events, outside concerts, doing that whole massage spa thing, maybe every other month. Just a lot self-care and like you say, play, you know. But that all,
Okay, okay.
yeah. But yeah, I tried to do that. If I'm gonna work that hard, I'm gonna play that hard. And I got that from an external, from my CPA. She would work hard, but she would really play hard. So she was like my, like a mentor in that area of my life. Like, yeah, play hard as well, you know? So, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, was there someone in the room, in the social room, that maybe you feel like you need to play harder? Any takers? Okay, what about the physical room? Are you taking care of yourself, or was it something that you felt like you need to do more of when it comes to that physical element? I think there are a few people in there.
I was in there with Dr. Holden.
Okay, thank you, Victor.
I chose physical because I've been very intentional since I've been home, retired, to get my body back like I was in my 20s. I have a personal trainer since January. I'm down about 15 pounds. I can move muscles I haven't moved in 30 years. I'm more flexible. I sleep better because my goal is to be around for my grandkids. And it's a lifestyle change. You know, watch what I eat more, even though I was doing it. I really read labels more often now. Don't eat after 7 o'clock. I'm getting my 7 to 8 hours of sleep because I'm trying to get rid of the CPAP machine and some of this medication that I'm on.
Mm. And sometimes we, thank you for sharing that. Sometimes we need the catalyst, right? There's something that pushes us to kind of want to do something a little differently when we think about, you know, how we are taking care of ourselves, because we're no good to anyone else if we're not good to ourselves first, right?
Right.
Did anyone want to share out from the community or the financial room before I move us to the next slide?
Yeah, I'll share out for the community room.
Okay,
I
go
was in
ahead.
that room with Danielle, and she was sharing that she had read a book that stated that only about what'd she say, 20% of women don't know how to read. And so she was saying that's an area where she could help and assist, something that she could do in her community. And I told her I also chose community because I feel like that's the bucket that I pour the least amount in. I used to do things in the community, but things happen, work, family, you get busy, and that's what I cut off. And that's what I feel like I need to give back to.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. Anyone for financial? And a lot of times that piece is that element isn't really an area that people like to talk about because it can really bring up some emotions, right? And so I'll just leave that at that today. But thinking about, you know, where our financial well-being is, but it can't be the only element of your life, right? So I want you to look up here for a second and think about really how are you slicing your pie? I just heard Shanice say that, you know, other things took precedence. I got busy, right? And so this was my pie. And I really had to come to terms with this, that I had 90% of my pie was work, 75% was about family, right? And I might spend a little time with friends, but I was not dedicating any time to myself. And this had been my normal, you know, routine for such a long time. And so what happened to me was I wound up suffering really in that physical well-being area. And my career was thriving, and I was just like, oh, my, you know, career was doing well, but I wasn't doing so hot taking care of myself, right? And so we have to remember how we are taking care of our pie. So I put the definition of imbalance up here because this is really important, is that this is a lacking balance, proportion is not distributed properly, right? And so again, our daily experience is the most important part of how we're moving through work-life balance. It's essential that we're engaging in activities that are fulfilling to us, to help create the balance. So someone asked at the very beginning of the presentation, you know, I hope you can help me. I need the work-life balance, right? But work cannot be our life and life cannot be our work. And I really, really want to stress that, because that's where the balance, the imbalance oftentimes comes from. Most of the time, it's not, I'm giving so much to the community that I'm not giving to myself, or I'm giving so much to, you know, social that I'm not giving to myself. A lot of times it's work. I'm giving too much to work and not giving too much to myself, not giving too much to my family or what have you. So that struggle occurs when we're allocating, you know, too much time in one or more areas and neglecting the other one. So you have to think about, when it comes to your pie, what is the most important element for you and how can you compensate that? So here are the keys that I wanted to give you. The first one is, you know, you have to fill your own cup. Do more of what fills your cup. What comes out of your cup, that's for everybody else, but what's in the cup, that's yours. And you have to hold on to that. And you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't help anyone if you're not filling your own cup. So that piece of self-care is so very important, that you need to make sure that you are doing that, even if it's the most minute of things that you could be doing for yourself, to make sure that you are taking care of yourself, taking care of you. Unplug and recharge you. Take time to unplug, even if it's just for a few minutes. And when I say unplug, literally unplug. Turn your phone off and just be you. Just focus on you, right? There were days when I would get up in the morning, being a mother and, you know, a wife and taking care of my family, and I would make breakfast and get everyone off to school and out of the door. And I would go through the entire day running on Pepsi, running on a cup of coffee and love, because I hadn't eaten anything, right? And so of course, my physical was not doing that hot, right? How many times a day do we charge our phone? I just want you to think about that. Everyone has a cell phone, right? Does everyone in this room have a cell phone? Okay. If your cell phone dies, what are you going to do? Immediately, you're going to charge your phone, right? But we don't move with the same sense of urgency when it comes to ourselves and just recharging ourselves. So if your recharging looks like you need to take a walk, you need to, you know, sit in stillness and quiet for 2 minutes throughout your day, then do that. Whatever it takes for you to pour into you and recharge your own battery, okay? And then timing is everything. That, you know, there's this, I saw a quote the other day. It says, the trouble is you think you have time, right? Time is money, yes. You know, things have to get done, but time is also very fleeting. And depending on how you are spending your time, you know, could largely impact where you are lacking in your elements. So just keep that in mind when it comes to work-life balance. And really, these are the 3 keys. These are the only 3 keys that you need right here. So I'm hoping that you are grabbing some of these keys today, that you find something helpful here, that you're thinking about it, because remember, our objective was to promote awareness so that you can have a powerful pause and think about where you need the most love, and what area you need the most love. So I do have a QR code here if you'd like to scan this to be a part of my mailing list, to learn more about well-being or yoga. That's what that QR code up here on the screen is for. You can scan that with your phone. My email address is here and also my number. A lot of these strategies too are also in this well-being book by Tom Rath. And they also make a well-being at work book for those of you who want to learn more about that. And I do want to thank you for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.